If you've been living under a rock recently, then you probably don't know that Zohran Mamdani has just been elected as New York City's newest mayor. And this is a huge triumph for progressives, for left-leaning Democrats, and people in New York in general who have just been wanting a change, and they feel like he's their guy. And so a lot of people, particularly people on the right, and centrist Democrats like Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries, for example, are not happy with this. And there's a reason for that. But a lot of people are freaking out in general, not just the Republicans or the Democrats and political people, but specifically the likelihood of Zohran implementing some of these policies that he's campaigned on. The free buses, the transgender health clinics, the defunding of the police, the raising the tax rates, particularly on wealthy Americans, but more specifically white people. That's been the criticism. And so, I mean, while there's been a lot of fear-mongering about this guy, there's a lot of fear. Let's just say that. Let's call it fear. More importantly, let's look at the broader elections in this country yesterday on November 4th. It was a blue wave. I mean, there were only 2 gubernatorial elections and there were a couple Senate races and stuff like that. But it was largely an off year in 2025. And looking at 2026, if you're the left, I mean, if you're going to campaign on this stuff, go ahead. If this is like the thing to campaign on. If you're going to go the Graham Plattner route, if you're going to go the Zohran Mamdani route, fine. I mean, this is a playbook. But if you're on the right, I just have to say, folks, the whole mainstream Republican coalition that they use to win for Trump, it's dead. There's a reason it's dead. It's because the Trump administration has really, I mean, I can't explain it enough. I can't sum it up enough. They have been so beholden to the Israel lobby and beholden to Israel in general. Number one reason why Zohran won, yes, people wanted their lives to change. Things are very unaffordable in this country, and they're very unaffordable in New York. And so what Zohran did was he catered to all of those needs. But the first thing that gave him massive support was saying, hey, you know, when I become mayor, I'm not going to go to Israel. I'm going to stay in New York. And New Yorkers really appreciated that. And so here's my message to the right. You lost all down the board because you ran conservatives who were just preaching the mainstream Republican message. Pro-Israel. And that's it. That's really the only thing. Everybody. Pro-Israel, I condemn anti-Semitism. The two things. It didn't seem like they were running anywhere else. It didn't seem like there was any other message. I mean, all I can think about right now when I think of the Republican Party is Randy Fine. That fat, just violent when he's calling for the death of Palestinians, all of them. Ben Shapiro, these are who I think of. Bill Ackman, when I think of the Republican Party, I mean, this is what they are. You see now, when the Democrats run the far left candidates, they win, and they win big. And so going forward, you're going to see more and more the left is going to run these progressive far left candidates because they are saying things that appeal to the common people. On the other opposite side of the aisle, we have the Republican Party who once again runs people like Randy Fine, talking about anti-Semitism, talking about allegiance to Israel no matter what. And I'm not going to lie, that message doesn't resonate with me. That message doesn't resonate with young men. Mamdani in New York won young men by 40 points. 18 to 29 by 40 points. Why am I talking about all this? This is a right-wing show. Why, if you're asking in the comments, why are you talking about this win? What happens in New York, it doesn't necessarily matter to me. People are freaking out about Mamdani winning. It doesn't matter to me. If it's going to be a socialist town, if Mamdani is a radical Muslim, I don't know, but it doesn't affect me. And here's why. You had the Republican Party who could offer an alternative to this. Understand what's happening and what's building. Young men are still more so aligned with the right than they are the left. Obviously, New York City is a very left-wing city, very progressive city. So naturally, the young men that are voting in this election are going to turn out for the guy that's giving the left-wing views. Also, the Republicans really didn't put up a candidate with Curtis Sliwa. And then you have Cuomo. So it wasn't exactly two great candidates for the independent and the guy on the right. But when you look at the success of the far left candidates, and then you look at the Republicans putting out the same pro-Israel Zionist candidates who aren't really promising anything new, not really promising any change, not even giving a direction of where to go, it just makes you wonder what 2026 is going to look like. Because right now, I mean, we had a little mini blue tidal wave just because there weren't a lot of elections. But what it's looking like is going to be a massive blue massacre in the 2026 midterms. And I'm just going to pull up a couple stats here because it's going to be able to back up my next couple of points. So this is from Open Source Zone on X, and they were talking about specifically who voted for Mamdani. And so it says right here, the NYC mayoral election by length of residency in New York City. It was a CNN exit poll. The people born in New York City, 50% of them voted for Cuomo, 38% voted for Mamdani. People lived in New York City less than 5 years. We have voted 85% for Mamdani and 14% for Cuomo. Now, Cuomo was not the perfect candidate, but what does that tell you? There's the quote, demographics are destiny. This is true. Demographics are destiny. Because if we would do what the far right in this country has been asking for a long time, which is to have an immigration moratorium, then this would not have happened. And it's funny how these people on the right, the Zionists, the moderates on the right, even the moderates on the left, they are so quick to condemn somebody like a Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson for having Nick Fuentes on his show in the past couple of weeks, or past couple of days rather. They've been talking about it. And then they wonder how they lose an election like this. And it is because you didn't do the mass deportations that everybody wanted. Everybody voted Trump in for mass deportations. That was a common theme in 2016. He laid off it in 2020 because he was trying to get reelected, and then back in 2024. And so we do have this stat, and it's real, and Nick said it here, so we're going to read it. Trump's approval rating is down 50% with 18 to 29-year-olds since the beginning of 2025. And the reason is clear. The MAGA movement has been hijacked by Israel first and completely lost touch with the forgotten men and women of America. And so this is true. This is exactly what it all has always been. And I have another video I'm going to play for you. This is 1905, okay? So I'm reading those numbers of the population that voted for Mamdani versus Cuomo and the people that have lived here for their whole lives and that have lived here for the past 5 years or so, okay? And this is New York City in 1905. What do you see? What do you see here? Again, this was not perfect, but what do you see? There's a common outlier here. Take a guess what it is. Just take a guess. Okay. Do you get it now? The more we let in anybody from any country that's not of European descent, we're going to have an issue, believe it or not. And this is something that the people on the far right are echoing more and more. Now, if the Democratic Party can listen to the far left and put up candidates that back far left ideas, well, obviously there's the playbook for the Republican Party in the future. Young men are more conservative. Jake Tapper, a couple days ago, came out with an article. It said Gen Z is going to be more conservative, particularly young men. Now, young women are cooked, let's be honest. Young women are not a good voting bloc in the near future. We could just admit that. But you have young men who are angry, who are unemployed, and they have degrees, who are becoming foreigners in their own country. And it's not just the white men. We don't have to say that. But American citizens, young men, young male American citizens, are really tired of this, are really tired of the jobs being taken by the migrants coming from the southern border, who the Democrats let in for cheap labor, and the H-1B visas for China and from India that the Republicans let in for cheap labor. You talk about the housing crisis. These are the things that got Mamdani elected because New York City is so unaffordable. The problem is, I don't think his policies are necessarily going to work. I don't think they're going to work. But when you have 50 million illegals in this country, we've said it before, we'll say it again, 50 million illegals in this country, where the hell do you think they're going to live? Housing, of course. Who's paying for the housing? The government. What's that taking away from American citizens who are growing up, getting college degrees? A place to live, a place to own. What would happen if we deported all 50 million illegal immigrants, regardless of how long they've been here? I don't care if they just got here. I don't care if they've been here 30 years. It doesn't matter. If you're not supposed to be in this country, then get the hell out. And that's the issue. They're not doing it. The Trump administration is not doing it. They're posting hype videos. Kristi Noem, DHS head, is posting hype videos. But they haven't published any deportation numbers for a single day since January. So they're making it look like, to the base, they're making it look like it's this big old thing. And they talk about 2 million self-deportations. It's not true at all. There's no facts supporting that. There haven't been any stats. They've been strictly on surveys. This is not backed in any reality at all. So you have that. And then coupled with the fact now that the left is mobilizing now, regardless of if it's only boomers at these No Kings protests, like the left is starting to mobilize now and they're starting to become more militant. This is real. And so this is an issue. And so all I'm asking is if the Republican Party is going to see this and analyze this and say, hey, the left won because they leaned more to the left, then the Republican Party is going to have to lean more to the right. They're going to have to give us more Marjorie Taylor Greenes, more Thomas Masseys, somebody that's truly America first. And the Groyper infiltration, which we haven't really talked about on the show, it's going to have to happen. The institutions are going to need to be taken up. They're going to have to be infiltrated. But as far as Mamdani, you have to understand that this is working for us. The people on the far right, the youth that wants real change, if you actually want to do this, then the Republican Party is going to have to see, because of this, the way they're doing things, it's not working. This whole Israel First agenda is not working. Eventually, it's going to be abandoned. It's only a matter of time until it is abandoned. And so it's just baffling that, you have these people like a Hassan Piker. Again, I'm going to play another clip where he's in it. He's at the celebration for Mamdani, and the Democratic Party now is embracing people that are Soviet Union sympathizers, communist sympathizers. We'll play this clip.
Done.
What do you think it means that this guy ran as a socialist and anti-communism didn't work to stop him? That's big.
Yeah, I think we are in the heart of the imperial core. This is the country that defeated the USSR, unfortunately.
This is the country that defeated the USSR, unfortunately. And again, this guy is a star on the left, whatever. I mean, people on the left feel these things, fine. But if you're going to be a Republican, if you're going to be somebody on the right that wants power and wants to win elections, can you understand what they're doing? It is an exact mirror image of what we feel on the right. The left is embracing, they're rallying, right? They're getting all of these candidates that are far left. These people that believe in socialism, these people that believe in freezing the rent, all the stuff, right? The defunding of the police. We've heard it for the past 5 years, and the right still hasn't caught up. The Republicans still haven't caught up with the fact that being pro-Israel is very unpopular. These people have captured the institutions. They cannibalize what America first really is, and they turn it on their own, and it's disgusting and it's vile. And it takes away the ambition from average American citizens. It takes away the power. It takes away everything that they feel in their bones, the country, it's being taken away from us. And so we have to understand that. And, I mean, here we go. We have prime example, okay? A prime example. So you have the Republican Party that claims to be America first. And again, we know this is not true, but this is just a prime example. You have Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the governor of Arkansas, right? So what does she do yesterday? A tweet, a post about the Hindu holiday of Diwali. It says right here, it's no accident that Diwali, the festival of lights, happens when the days are getting short. It was an honor to host our second Diwali celebration at the governor's mansion today. It is a reminder that while we live in a broken world, light is always more powerful than darkness. Hey, fat ass, we live in America. Last time I checked, we live in America. I understand you're trying to cater to the H-1B visa workers and eventually get them on a pathway to citizenship because that is who you want. You're cozying up to the corporations and you're giving them cheap labor. I understand you're trying to pander. But what about the people that actually live here? What about the real Americans? And that's what I'm talking about. These are what the Republicans are. The Republicans are not America first. The Democrats are not America first. And so I think we need to try out other options because people on the far left, like the Zohrans, are winning, and they're winning big. Why not have a far-right candidate of our own? Somebody, anybody. I would like to see it because I guarantee they're going to win. It gets at my bones. So somebody quoted that right here. Conservatism is worse than worthless. It is actively hostile to your country and your way of life and the livelihood of your children and grandchildren. And it's true, and it's frustrating. And here's another thing. I want to go back to the demographics, right, of who voted for Zohran. Because it's interesting. We have the gender by race, and the only one that didn't overwhelmingly vote for him was white men. White men, 43% voted for Mamdani, 48% voted for Cuomo. He won everyone, whatever. But what does that tell you about the future of the Republican Party? That's who you're going to need to cater to. That's who you're going to need to go to at first. That's who's going to win you these elections. We are going to turn out. But I mean, if they're going to do the route, if they're going to go the route of the Breland-Hawley hands, right? And if they're going to go all pro-Israel first, you are going to lose elections. All of this is a referendum on the pro-Israel parts of America, on the pro-Israel politicians. You cannot tell me that this is a popular position anymore. All of these people who were running on the Republican side were pro-Israel, and they all lost. I cannot hammer down on this enough. If you're going to support Israel, you are going to lose. And if you support Israel in the midterms, then we are not going to turn out. We're not going to vote for you. And so what do I mean? Well, Breland-Hawley, who is the next up for Turning Point USA after Charlie Kirk was killed, he called anti-immigration conservatives today elitist, insane, and entitled for opposing mass legal immigration. So we're going to play this clip for you, and I'm going to try to find where he said this. It's a big clip, but listen to how he sounds. Listen to how insane this kid sounds.
In Dearborn, Michigan, and even with that guy running for mayor in Minneapolis, Omar, these guys have been born here, right? They should be Americans, but they clearly are not. So it doesn't necessarily take a piece of paper to say that you're American. It's something completely different. And these people have also been entrenched in our culture as well, and they still are not American. So what is an American?
I absolutely will stand by the fact that I'm pro-legal immigration, because I can't look at somebody and ask them to not break into our country through the wide open border, to go stand in line for a decade, to do the hard work, to do it the right way and come in legally. And then when they come in legally, we close the door in their face and say, actually, we're not accepting anybody else to come experience the freedom that we are blessed to have here in America.
Oh my fuck. This guy right here is the enemy of us. He is our moral enemy. All of these ideas, this right here, this is the enemy of America first. This guy is receiving pro-Israel money. He is receiving all of this backing to give these traditional Republican 2004 talking points. This guy is not America first. This is not the coalition that we need to build in this country to get back power. how could you, we watched that guy in the audience break down how, he's against the H-1B work visas and he works in tech and he sees the problems. And if people come in legally in this country and they don't assimilate, it's a problem. And this guy, Breland Holihan, is like, well, I want them all to come in. I don't know why we should exclude this country to all the people from all around the world. I want them to enjoy the fruits of this country. Like, our country is dying. It's crumbling. Everything is crumbling. Everything is shit. You look at the crashes for the commercial truck drivers, right? And you see that in California in particular, but there's other states around the world, they're not required to do training, to have a driver's license, to be citizens. And they are killing people on the highway. We played it a couple episodes ago on Innocent Villains. There were cars that were parked, and this commercial truck driver plowed into these 3 cars, killed all of the people in the cars. He was a migrant. My own car was broken into by most likely migrants in Columbus, Ohio. I heard stories of people that worked at this hotel. It was like 20 cars, right, that were broken into all within the span of like an hour. Woke up at this hotel and we heard people screaming, right? It sounded like something was being broken. Went downstairs, and in the parking lot, about 25 cars had their windows broken into. And you thought, that's odd. And then I was around Columbus, had to go do a couple things before we went back home. And it was odd because you saw all of these Somalians, all of these people with the hijabs, and they're not speaking the language. And then on the PA speakers, I went to the Lowe's, for example. I tried to patch up the window and put like a plastic bag over it so it wouldn't be wide open the whole drive home, 2.5-hour drive home. And on the loudspeakers, they have in multiple languages, but in English first, it's saying, we are not responsible as Lowe's. We are not responsible for anything taken if your car is broken into. Well, my car was broken into a couple hours prior. What happened? What is this? And when I talked to the worker at this particular hotel, he said, yes, this has only been happening within the past couple of months. Well, what happened within the past couple of months? Haitian migrants, Somalians, all of these people from third world countries being dropped in to Ohio in particular. We've been to this particular mall that we went to the night before in Columbus, and it's in a suburb. It's a nice middle-class suburb. There's a Barnes & Noble. There's a Cheesecake Factory. Nice, beautiful restaurants. Really expensive stuff in these stores, okay? Big brands. And we went this time. It was the 3rd time we were there, and it was ghetto. And the people walking around were very strange looking. The things they were doing, the way the area was treated was much different. It was trash. And so when you see these things, when you question, when there's people on the side of the road that are coming up to your car, speaking different languages, you can't understand them. You want them to stop touching your car. When you pay attention to who comes and does the labor jobs, I've said it many times, I've said it again. In this particular studio, the Armstrong internet that was set up, the guy came. He didn't speak a lick of English. How am I supposed to communicate with the guy installing my electric? How am I supposed to know how much I can run? How many devices I can run? What's going to happen if this event happens? The guy had a Bluetooth little thing in his ear, and he was rattling off 1 or 2 word phrases. He didn't speak English. This is a problem. What happens when you don't have a common language with your neighbor in your country? This is a problem. What happens when you have these H-1B visas, again, working for cheap labor because the corporations are allowed to hire these people at the expense of college graduates, engineers, tech, anything. You go to a Ivy League school. You go to a very expensive school for a very advanced degree like engineering or robotics, and these people, these corporations, they drop in the H-1B work visas that'll work for like 40% of your salary, what you are supposed to make as an American worker, and you're like, what the fuck? You're working at Applebee's, you're working at McDonald's. Like, these are issues. These are big issues. For my whole entire life, I've been told that Americans won't do hard labor jobs, which is not true. The average wage is going down in this country, particularly because we are taking in so much migration and these people are willing to work for less, and the corporations know it and the businesses know it, and they say, okay, we're going to take these people instead of the actual American citizens. So when you wonder why everything is so unaffordable, it is because we have 50 million people here that aren't supposed to be here, that are taking our government benefits away from people that actually need it. The whole SNAP thing, over Biden's whole tenure as being president, over his 4 years, the reliance on SNAP went from somewhere from 17 million people on SNAP to 40 million people on SNAP. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? It's because a lot of the people that were in this increase were the people he just let in the country. And the Republicans aren't doing anything about that. We hear mass deportations, but nothing is being done. And so to cap it off, the people like Breland Hollyhand that say, well, I just want everybody to experience the American dream. It's like the Americans aren't experiencing the American dream. What are you talking about? You are a corporate sellout. You are not in tune with any of what Gen Z actually wants, which is change, which is affordability. And I am giving you the perspective from the right. So it's crazy, man. It really frustrates me. And so here you have, to kind of jump off and get to the next topic here. Here you have somebody like Vivek Ramaswamy. And what's he doing? He's talking about how Republicans got their asses kicked last night on November 4th in all of these elections, starting with the election of Zohran Mamdani. Listen to what he has to say.
We got our asses handed to us in New Jersey, Virginia, and New York City. Democrats swept all three. There's two key lessons for Republicans. Listen carefully. Number one, our side needs to focus on affordability. Make the American dream affordable. Bring down costs, electric costs, grocery costs, healthcare costs, and housing costs, and lay out how we're going to do it. And number two, cut out the identity politics. It doesn't suit Republicans. It's not for us. That's the woke left's game, not ours. We don't care about the color of your skin or your religion. We care about the content of your character. That's who we are.
Identity politics, they do work. Identity politics work. If you don't think identity politics work, then how do you think Zohran Mamdani won? Identity politics. He said, I am going to tax white families, white neighborhoods at a higher rate. That's identity politics. And it worked. And he won. Why not use identity politics on the right? Why not appeal to all the white men in particular? Why not appeal to young men in particular and say, hey, we understand that you're getting fucked. We understand that you're graduating from college and you can't get jobs because of these migrants who are working for less money. Why not attack the corporations and deport these people so that these young men can get jobs? It is so insane. It is so crazy. This guy spent $80,000 to fly from Columbus, Ohio to Akron, Ohio. But he's talking about affordability. He's talking about the American dream. He's talking about getting back to what voters care about. Voters see right through this. You are not an American. You are a scammer. We talk about one nation under God. You are a Hindu. You have multiple gods. You do not represent what we believe in. You are pro H-1B worker visa. I am pro American worker. Why do we have to use these people who are looking to come over here for a good reason? Let's be honest. They want to better themselves. Why are we pushing Native Americans, people that were born here in this country, people that have been here for generations? Why are we forcing them out of the workforce? Why are we exploiting cheap labor to push them out? It doesn't make any sense. Wake up. Understand something. If you are on the right, we can't continue to vote for these people. We need to let the Republican Party die if 2026. And if it does die, if we do get a blue wave, then they're going to see this whole pro-Israel, anti-American worker, fake migration politics, all of that shit. It's not working. They're going to actually need to deliver something for us. The people like Vivek are not going to do it. It is baffling. It is absolutely baffling. And here's another thing. So people have been throwing around the 1965 Immigration Act and then Reagan amnesty. And this is the problem. This is, again, when people say demographics are destiny, this is true. So if we never had this is from the White Paper Institute. And it talks about if we never would have passed the 1965 Immigration Act, or if Reagan didn't do amnesty for immigration, right, for immigrants, this is what it would look like. So right here, this is what it would be. And I think, you could look at this and there you go. Again, it's not that we want the country to be 100% white or even majority white, but it just happens to be that when you have these mostly European descent countries, and you have these countries that the most of the religion is Christianity, you have a better country. Look at the country now. We're like 60% white, maybe a little bit less than 60% white, and there's problems. The majority religion of the country is barely Christianity. And look at the problems. Go outside, things don't work. Nothing works. When are we going to actually be able to have political power? When are we going to be able to have people like the right-wing version of Zohran Mamdani? When's he coming? Is it going to be Marjorie Taylor Greene? I don't know. But let me tell you something. She kind of makes sense. Marjorie Taylor Greene, to transition now, Marjorie Taylor Greene recently went on The View. Now, maybe you think, why would Marjorie Taylor Greene go on The View? This doesn't make sense. What's she doing? Well, she went on The View and she was forced to talk about a couple things from her past. But I think this is very interesting. She was kind of being pressured to condemn Nick Fuentes. And funny enough, she didn't condemn Nick Fuentes. Now, this is somebody that she's had problems with in the past, right? She went to AFPAC in 2022. And they had a little bit of falling out. She ended up condemning him and denouncing him. But listen to what she says about him on The View and how her message is kind of resonating with these women.
As we speak, there seems to be a significant divide on the right over whether to give a platform to noted white supremacist Nick Fuentes. Many prominent conservatives like Ben Shapiro, Senator Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, they've spoken out against amplifying him. You two have had a complicated relationship over the years, but at a moment when anti-Semitism is on the rise, where do you stand on this?
Well, first, I'm not anti-Semitic, but I am critical of the Israeli government.
Well, I just mean domestically speaking, because a lot of Nick Fuentes' words are, he hits every group, but very much just Jewish people in general, not Israel, Jewish people.
Well, number one, I don't have to agree with his words on attacking people like that. However, as a lawmaker, I think it's incredibly important that I defend our First Amendment for every single American. Of course, that does not apply to death threats or anything like that. However, I think the most important thing we can have as Americans is our free speech, and it can be speech that I either agree with or completely disagree with.
But it's something interesting you said. You said you're critical of the Israeli government, but you are not anti-Semitic. Most people now believe that if you criticize the Israeli government, you are anti-Semitic. Do you disagree with that?
Actually, I disagree with
or I should say many people.
I would say that tide has completely changed. I think many Americans today see the difference.
Why does every criticism of Israel have to be labeled as anti-Semitic? I don't know. I don't understand, but it is widely unpopular. And it is a decent chunk of why, Zohran Mamdani won. It is a big chunk of why he won. But there are still people who think this is a good idea, who think this is a good idea for the right, good idea for Republicans to embrace this pro-Israel perspective. And it is exactly who you think. It is just so baffling that these people like Ben Shapiro still have influence in this movement, because it is clear that Israel is behind a lot of problems, that we have a foreign country that is controlling our politicians and controlling policy, and the American people are being squeezed. And you see this. And you see it with the MAGA civil war now that they're calling it, the MAGA civil war, the conservative civil war. When you have people like Ben Shapiro going after Tucker and Nick, okay? And it's a problem, and we understand that it's a problem. However, we have a new member of the Civil War. Enter Brett Cooper. And so this is very interesting. Brett Cooper recently came out of nowhere. You would think, what does she have to say about Israel? She basically went and told Randy Fine, who is Jewish, to go back to Israel. And it is crazy, and it was a little bit unhinged. But this is what Brett Cooper said. Here we go.
But this whole thing is also just frankly comical. Like, I mean, a room of 200 people coming together to shit on a podcaster. Like, this is not serious behavior. But again, who is surprised when it comes to these characters? Like Randy Fine, if you don't know who he is, he's a representative from Florida. He's the same guy who bragged about not washing his hands after he had a handshake with Netanyahu. He's repeatedly introduced bills to criminalize anti-Semitism, infringing upon free speech. I mean, he obviously, I'm sorry to say, but he obviously cares more about Israel than he does, principles like free speech. So, buddy, like, my advice to you, Randy Fine, is just move to Israel at this point. Like, considering you had to go through anger management classes a few years ago, I genuinely think you would probably be happier if you just moved to Israel. And that's what it did.
Is Brett Cooper a groiper? What? Is that not crazy? When I saw that clip, I kind of jumped up in my seat and I was like, what's going on? She obviously split from the Daily Wire about a year ago. Nobody knew why. She said it was very cordial. She had nothing against anybody that worked there. But what? Is that not insane? So she then called out Ted Cruz's hypocrisy for calling Nick Fuentes a Nazi. And again, we're going to play this clip. But again, folks, I will ask, is Brett Cooper a groiper? Who knows?
We're so blinded by your ridiculous, insane hatred of Tucker Carlson that you cannot see how irresponsible and hypocritical you are being. I mean, these tweets from Ted Cruz, I'm going to read you next, are a great example of this. So just a month ago, he tweeted this. He said, "They don't kill you because you're a Nazi. They call you a Nazi so they can kill you. Political violence is a left-wing phenomenon. Enough is enough. We need to shut it down." And then in response to Fuentes and Tucker this week, he tweeted this. "Trump's bombing of the Ayatollah's nuclear facilities made the little Nazi mad. Good. So now you're turning around and you're calling somebody that you don't like a Nazi. You're doing this out of blind rage because you're so angry that the conservative base's attitudes are rapidly changing, that Nick Fuentes is getting national attention, and so you have turned around and in response, you are compromising your own values in anger, which is such a dangerous precedent to set." And
boom. She's a groiper. Add another one to the list. This is crazy. But America First is inevitable. This whole movement is inevitable. More of us grow power in the shadows. Insane, dude. Absolutely insane. Meanwhile, we have the failing Republican Party, and what did Mike Johnson say when they confronted him about Nick Fuentes and his growing influence on the right in America? We have the answer. Here we are.
Good National Review. Quick question for you. Tucker Carlson recently gave a pretty friendly interview with Nick Fuentes, an avowed Hitler and Stalin apologist. I'm wondering, given this is a pattern of behavior for Carlson, who's made sympathetic comments in the past about Vladimir Putin and Maduro, do you think that Carlson's views and voice have a place in the conservative movement?
Look, I heard a compilation of some of the worst things that Nick Fuentes has said, and it's absolutely outrageous, some of the things he said.
He says it's outrageous, some of the things Nick Fuentes has said. It is outrageous that you come from statistically the worst state in the country, Louisiana, when it comes to everything, education, healthcare, incarceration, they're number one. When you have everything that people need to survive, to live, your state is the worst. Yet you continuously send billions and billions of dollars to a foreign country, Israel, when your state could potentially be getting some of that funding. Do you see the contradiction here? They are so quick to condemn Nick Fuentes, to condemn people that are critical of this foreign country, critical of the influence that these people have over our country. Your people are suffering, clearly, and yet you just want to say it's disgusting, it's terrible. Like, this comes from a place of rage. We all did not get to this position overnight. This didn't just happen. This was over time. This was slow. This was a process for people to get here. And the fact that you're so easy to condemn, just what are you doing? This message is deep. And the longer that you try to ignore it, it is only going to get stronger. It's eventually going to tank your party when we don't come out to vote for you because you're not saying what we want. You're not doing what we want. We're not, if this continues, if the leader of the Republican Party, if the House Majority Leader, who is a Republican, who is supposed to be conservative, supposed to be for our values, if he does not act how we want him to act, if he does not do what we want him to do, then we could just vote him out. Or just say, hey, folks, let the left have this one. It is seriously an option. So that's that. All right, everybody, that's been the show. Make sure to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. Give the video a comment. Did you like it? Did you not? We're also doing memberships. I keep saying it. I keep forgetting to say at the beginning of the episode, but we are doing memberships for as little as 99 cents per month. You could support this channel. We will make it better. Your contributions, your membership contributions will allow the show to be better, create better content, better looking, better functioning, all of that stuff. With these memberships starting off, you will get priority comments. So I'm not commenting on anybody, responding to anybody anymore unless they are a member for as low as 99 cents per month. You can get that. There will be other more expensive tiers in the future, but for now, you will get priority comment and you will also be able to support the show. So very much appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.